Welcome, everyone. This is part 5 of Franklin Delano Floyd. Now, where we last left off, Suzanne and her friend Jennifer had just went out, and as they came home, Franklin had actually went into the room and in front of Jennifer had forced Suzanne on the floor, and he assaulted her. And when he was finished, he had got up and walked out. And Suzanne had got up and went over to Jennifer and hugged her and said, "It's going to be okay. I'm okay. You're okay." Jennifer would say that she would never stay another night over there, and any time that she hung out with Suzanne, it was over at her house. Suzanne would actually continue living her life as if nothing was wrong, and unless people knew on the inside, no one knew what was going on. And she continued her studies, trying to pursue a education in science. It was her dream to actually one day work for NASA. And she actually got a scholarship to Georgia State University, which was actually her dream. But shortly afterwards, Suzanne got pregnant, and Franklin would say he would refuse her to go to college. Franklin would then make her get a job working in diners, and whatever money that she would make him give him all the money. She actually did try to attempt to run away from Franklin with a boyfriend at the time, and Franklin had hunted her down and actually forced her in the car and brought her all the way back home. It was then that he actually made her give up the child that she was pregnant with up for adoption. There is not known on who the father is. It could have been the boyfriend or it could have been Franklin's. We do not know. Shortly after this, Franklin and Suzanne would actually move Georgia and move over to Florida, and Franklin would then actually force Suzanne to be an exotic dancer. And the environment there got even more uncomfortable than it already was, because they were going under the guise that Franklin was her father, and he would actually not only drop her off and pick her up to work, but he would actually also go into the club and actually watch her dance. And not only would it make a lot of dancers uncomfortable, but he would actually make other customers uncomfortable by sitting there making comments like, "Don't you think that her breasts should be larger?" And shortly afterwards, he had actually made Suzanne get a breast augmentation to make them bigger, and he would still make more and more very disturbing comments about Suzanne. At some point, Suzanne actually got pregnant, and Franklin would still make her dance being pregnant. And it was shortly after this that Suzanne had befriended a fellow co-worker. This co-worker's name was Cheryl Ann Camiso, and she was actually a model and was an aspiring model trying to be an actress in Hollywood. And on one particular day, the owner of the exotic dancing club had noticed that Franklin was talking to her, and he had said that he had connections to Hollywood and could help her get known for a known film, and said that they're trying to do a scene in a beach. At this point, Cheryl Ann actually accompanied Franklin to a beach where he had noticed that not only was Franklin there, but Suzanne was on the beach completely undressed. And at this point, he had told her that for the film that she had to do a love scene with a female, and said that he would film her and Suzanne having sex on the beach. Now, Cheryl Ann did not want to do this, but he had convinced her to do it. Later on, they had found out that he had no connections, and he had just basically conned her to basically make a film for his own personal use. And at this time, Suzanne had actually given birth to a boy named Michael Hughes. And When she had found out this, Suzanne was actually collecting benefits from the government for their son. And Cheryl Ann reported them and said that she was making over $1,500 a night, to which she lost the benefits. Of course, Franklin had approached Cheryl Ann one night at the club, and there was known that they were screaming matches. And at that point, after the argument, Cheryl Ann completely disappeared and was never seen again.